Kamala Harris's campaign says she'll announce her pick for VP tomorrow. The finalists appear to be Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. We talked with Congressman and Senate candidate Adam Schiff about that and more for our political show The Issue Is a short time ago. You've said that the decision really isn't so much about chemistry, but about who can help her the most and when it comes to winning the election. So is that person the governor of this biggest swing state of all, Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro?
It very well may be. If he can deliver Pennsylvania, and he's very popular in Pennsylvania, then that's worth the price of admission. There are obviously a number of other really talented candidates. Tim Walz in Minnesota, Mark Kelly in Arizona, among others, that also, bring help in Midwestern states or in Arizona. But Josh Shapiro, if he can deliver Pennsylvania, that alone is huge.
All right, so we'll see what happens in terms of that. Now, we haven't talked with you since you made global headlines by suggesting that President Biden drop out of this race, which is why Kamala Harris is making this decision now. Here's some of what you said at the time. While the choice to withdraw from the campaign is President Biden's alone, I believe it is time for him to pass the torch, and in doing so, secure his legacy of leadership by allowing us to defeat Donald Trump in the upcoming election. Can you take us behind the scenes on how you arrived there and whether you've spoken with President Biden since then?
I haven't had a chance to speak to the president since then, and it was hard to get to that point because I have such admiration for him. He's been an incredibly accomplished president, doing more in one term than most ever do. And more than that, I have just great affection for him. But I did come to the conclusion that it was best that he passed the torch. That we needed someone with the vigor of Kamala Harris to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. I worked so hard to hold Trump accountable for his various abuses of office and in criminality, for that matter, to not do everything I could to prevent him from returning to the Oval Office. And I know that if I hadn't said something and we had sort of walked into an electoral nightmare, I would have kicked myself later. So I did speak out. As I said from the beginning, I was confident Joe Biden would make the decision that was best for the country, and I think that's exactly what he's done.
Were you in communication with former Speaker Nancy Pelosi during that process?
It's interesting. There's been a lot of commentary about that I was essentially, as one commentator described it, one of Nancy Pelosi's drone, like an unmanned aerial drone. I did not consult with her before I made the statement that I did. I certainly have a very close relationship with her. She keeps her cards very close to the vest, particularly on something like this. So she kept her own counsel about what she was discussing with the president. But I know that she was hearing from members, including myself, but others from battleground states or in tough House races who are deeply concerned about the direction we were heading in. And I'm sure that she communicated those concerns as she heard them from our caucus.
Most political reporters found that very hard to believe, the idea that you weren't in communication with her. So you're saying you did this completely on your own without any consultation with her?
I did it on my own. I didn't consult with her before I made the statement or even decided to make it public. And I know that is hard for some people to accept because we are very close. But I wanted to respect her decision-making process. I didn't want to, put that burden on her to tell me, go, no go, this is what you should say, this is not what you should say. I think from her point of view, this was a deeply personal decision for all of us to make about what we thought was best for the country and whether we felt compelled to speak out or not. So I didn't want to put her in that position.
You talk all the time about the importance of democracy. We know that 3.2 million Californians voted for Joe Biden in the primary. Yes, they knew that Kamala Harris was his vice president, but they didn't vote for her at the top of the ticket. How is it democratic for the Democratic Party to unanimously nominate someone who no regular voters actually voted for?
Well, the way the process works is we vote for people to represent us at the convention, to cast their vote along the lines that we would like. And that's what would have taken place at the convention, but for the decision Joe Biden made to step aside. And now he made the recommendation to the convention, but it was only a recommendation that we get behind the vice president. But we very quickly closed ranks behind the vice president. But that is the way the democratic process works. And it works that way in part for a very significant reason, and that is circumstances change. And, it became, I think, clear to the president that it was the right time to pass the torch to his vice president. And that's what he did. But I think that is certainly consistent with the Democratic Party functions and the way we vote for delegates at the convention. We followed the appropriate process.
Our thanks to Adam Schiff. Our full interview coming with him Friday at 10:30 on The Issue Is. Now to Jonathan Novak and a quick look at traffic.